You are welcome to yet another episode of LFN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. The day Michael Avenatti decided to take on R. Kelly is the day his fate was sealed as destined to rot in prison, further proving that indeed Robert is anointed, for the Bible says, "Do not touch the anointed of God." When Michael Avenatti represented a number of alleged R. Kelly victims, we did speak out about his bad intentions for the R&B King and the very accusers he represented. We in fact mentioned the same about several other people who rallied themselves against R. Kelly, making it their personal business to ensure he was locked up and in the process losing focus of the subject matter. If Catch a Predator was really all these people were looking to achieve and not monetary gain in exchange for destroying an innocent man's career, they would have pulled out of this the moment it became clear that all the initial accusations that were made during the surviving R. Kelly docuseries and by media were simply not true. The initial accusations included R. Kelly being branded a kidnapper who held women in his basement against their will, and one that operated a cult. I want to believe that by now we all know these were false accusations regardless of whether we are R. Kelly supporters or not. At the moment this truth was established, Kim Fox and her friend Michael Avenatti would have pulled out and let the R&B King live his life and do what he does best, making hits. However, this was all ignored and the two pressed on like they had personal vendetta with R. Kelly. Among the charges that were imposed on R. Kelly was the RICO violation, which according to what it states and the details of the act simply doesn't apply to R. Kelly's case whatsoever. Even though the evidence presented by government did not show any substantial proof of an illegal enterprise, or enterprise being used for illegal activities, the RICO charge has since remained on the list of guilty verdicts as per the New York judgment against R. Kelly. Attempts made by attorney Jennifer Bongine to have this RICO charge scrapped off R. Kelly's charge sheet were met with arrogance and a big no from Judge Donnelly, who we now feel should have taken time to digest her legal arguments in the pre-sentencing motions she submitted and made a more informed decision. According to the trial judge, it doesn't really matter whether the government proved or failed to prove an enterprise engaged in illegal activity or not, and for as long as R. Kelly was part of his music management team assembled to manage his business, then he automatically becomes guilty for RICO. This is how the RICO charges were tactfully smuggled in, even though until now they still sound alien to his case. When you look at the reasons Judge Donnelly gave to tactfully disregard Jennifer Bongine's pre-sentencing motions against the RICO charges, one would think that Michael Avenatti too would qualify perfectly well for similar charges, considering just like R. Kelly operated his music business, Michael was running a law firm and definitely had a number of staff he was working with when he managed to steal money from his clients. He definitely had an accountant who did not make proper payments to clients like Stormy Daniels as they were supposed to, and that made sure his books were always looking fine. I am also confident he had assistants who arranged his meetings with these very clients he defrauded, and according to the New York judge's reasoning, this would attract RICO charges. After all, according to her, the organization does not necessarily have to be involved in any pattern of illegal business for the defendant to qualify for RICO charges. This is where Judge Donnelly goes wrong and exposes her discriminative character. Returning to Avenatti, the reason the RICO charges were not imposed on him is because the justice system knows well that to justify an illegal enterprise, R. Kelly needed to have acted together with people in a team to engage in a pattern of crimes which never really happened. There is no accuser who mentions that any staff of R. Kelly did the same thing to her or sexually harassed her in any way. Them being employed and working with R. Kelly to manage his music business at that time does not make them part of an illegal enterprise, for according to the trial transcripts, they all stuck to doing their jobs and did not become a part of R. Kelly's private lifestyle. The only reason R. Kelly was RICO charged and not Avenatti is because he is R. Kelly. Black and successful, only facing the music of working with evil Sony. Another good reason for the RICO against R. Kelly is because the government realized they had no real charges applicable to his case, and therefore resorted to the RICO as the most confusing alternative that would not be easy for the defense to dismiss. Meanwhile, the case against Avenatti is not the only one we can compare with that of R. Kelly to expose the selective application of the false RICO charges on him. There are many more cases where if the DOJ was to be consistent, they would have charged the defendants with RICO, but because this is not just the way the law is applied, they weren't. We have previously highlighted the case against Fox News boss Roger Ailes, who just like R. Kelly was facing sex-related crimes against some employees, and was definitely running a team of all kinds of people who booked his meetings and lunches with these alleged victims. But because they were not necessarily teamed up with him for such illegal business, he was not subjected to RICO. The same should have been done with R. Kelly, but thinking it through, if the government hadn't imposed the bogus RICO and Mann Act charges, what would they have used to lock him up? Many of their key witnesses turned out to have lied about their age and could no longer qualify to be used as victims. The government chose to violate the statutes of limitations and try R. Kelly for matters from decades back whose limitations had expired. Without forcing in the RICO and Mann Act charges, therefore, the government had almost no avenue to explore and use against the R&B king. Desperate to overcharge him, these together with bogus false labor charges were smuggled in. According to Omar, indeed, there is a way our government together with the Department of Justice, which by the look of things is not very independent, are getting away with serving selective justice, applying certain charges on particular defendants and not on others even if the circumstances surrounding their cases are similar. This is the litmus test for high-level prejudice and could indicate a total breakdown in our justice system. If the laws are being curved out to work for certain people and not others, then we have a huge problem. When women were describing being in bed with R. Kelly, it was with him alone and not with his drivers or bodyguards. There are even several videos to prove this, like the one where it was the three of them. Him, Azriel and Joyceline cutting cake at his birthday party. Where were his fellow gang members then the government is referring to? Where were the rest? Just because these people worked for him does not automatically turn his music business team into a RICO enterprise. Just like Miss Bonjean put it, all the cases reported against R. Kelly mentioned isolated cases in which he allegedly acted alone. These accusations cannot attract RICO violation charges, but interestingly, the judge found no problem with this. According to Dorothy, Michael Avenatti is only disappointed because he is not out there to help those liars beat R. Kelly down and cheat him out of his money to put in his pocket like he did Stormy Daniels and his other clients. Everyone seems to be so interested in seeing R. Kelly pay restitution such that they can enrich themselves and not the accusers. With a fraudster such as Avenatti, we cannot expect anything less than that. If you wish to take part in a live interview discussing any of these topics, let us know by sending an email to sashalfnmedia@gmail.com for scheduling. Thank you for watching today's video, a production of LFN Media, giving you another perspective of issues at hand. We make it our business to keep you updated with the truth amidst the cloud of lies the media wants you to believe. It is therefore important to subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon and allow all notifications so that you don't miss out whenever we publish a new video.